I mean, we wanted to quit.
Yeah.
Probably every single day that first year.
Especially me. I take a blame. The blame. I really did.
Yeah.
There was a few times where I'm like, man, it's overwhelming because I had a full-time job as an executive. I had a lot of responsibility and, we had travel days and I had to work.
But after we hit that 1 year mark, I would say we just kind of came to this realization of this is really awesome, and the community that we've built and the friends that we've met and the togetherness that we have built, it's unmatched.
Welcome to the More Sunsets Please podcast. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live debt-free, sell it all and live small, travel the country full-time, or raising animals and growing your own food as a sustainable family? My name is Kate, and these are just some of the stories of those who have jumped outside the box and living life on their terms. This is More Sunsets Please.
Welcome, Jess and Travis, to the More Sunsets Please podcast. I'm so happy to have you guys.
Same.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Kate.
Awesome. Let's start out first. Where are you guys right now?
We are in Waco, Texas. We have our very, very best friends in the whole wide world that we've known for years. They bought a house here. They travel full time, and they have full hookups here. So
They used to travel full time.
They used to travel.
That's how we met them.
Yeah, that's how we met them. So, and they have full hookups on the side of their house because they still have their RV. So we just plug in and stay for as long as we want for free, like mooch docking, I think they call it.
Yeah, but with full hookup.
Full hookups.
With full hookup, that's rare.
Yeah, it's very rare.
Yeah.
And we're in their backyard, so we have the whole fenced-in portion for the dogs.
I mean, we're looking at like farm field right now. I mean, it is Texas. So,
Yeah.
But, it's
That's
flat
awesome.
and farmy.
It's really cool too because SpaceX is directly south of where we are. So like when we're sitting here working during the day, we can see the plume from them working on like rockets and stuff. So like it'll go off and like this huge it shakes the whole RV.
Oh yeah, you're shaking.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the first time we stayed here, a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Oh my god.
We're like, what is that?
Something exploded.
Like, what is that noise? We're like texting Paul and Cinnamon, our friends, and we're like, what is that? They're like, oh, that's just SpaceX. It's like 7 miles that way. We're like, what?
This is normal? You deal with this all the time?
Right? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How often do they go off?
Probably every 3 days or so.
Yeah, but then on the day that they go off, they probably go off anywhere from 5 to 10 times a day.
Yeah, they do it.
Goodness.
Yeah, they don't do it every day, but they probably every 2 or 3 days, and they probably do it like 4 or 5 times during the day. And it's usually
Sometimes
like a couple of minutes to 5 minutes, 7 minutes.
Yeah, it's not very long, but it like when it initially it's like it's so loud.
It is.
It just like rumbles everything.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so we tried to research it, and I think what they have is like an underground, rocket thing. It's like in the ground, and I think they just shoot it and test it, and they test different fuels and probably different, I don't know, parts or technology or whatever. So, because there's a couple of times where we looked out because we could see the smoke from our right here. I'm looking at it right here, and it'll be dark brown, and you're like, oh, I think they messed that one up. Yeah.
So who all is a part of your adventure?
So it's Travis and I'm Jess, and then we have 2 dogs.
I was like,
he's like, what?
We're all in
way
this.
too deep.
Yeah, we're all on board. Yeah.
And then we have 2 dogs. We have a golden retriever. Her name's Luna. And then we have a golden doodle. His name's Apollo, and he's crazy. But we love him.
And I mean, our kid, we have 4 kids between the 2 of us, and they're grown. So they don't. Occasionally they'll travel with us, but very rarely because they have their own lives, and
which is good for what we do because they're kind of spread out. We have some in the middle of the country in Indiana, then we have some in California, and then he has all of his family back in New York. So it's been nice. We're all over.
Yeah. And then bonus, you have all the places to go visit.
Yeah, exactly. All in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of crazy adventures, and it's been 3 years so far. So
3 years. Well, let's take the step back then. Let's go with the story of how you guys got started to where you are now.
Okay. Well, I mean, we've always had an RV. I mean, we've been married going on 11 years, and we probably had an RV probably eight out of those 11 years or so. So we've always, when her boys were younger, we would take them, in the summer to, Yosemite or Yellowstone or, something during the summer, a big trip. And we followed a lot of people that were full timers, and, we were always intrigued by it. And I don't know, we just did a lot of research, and
also Travis hasn't said yet, but he is retired military. He did 22 years. And so during his military career, and even when he got out, we moved around a lot. So it was, we never really could find a place that we just felt like this was going to be our forever home. We moved back to Indiana, where I'm from, for a while, for a big portion, after he retired. We tried moving back to New York. We got different jobs, and it just, nothing ever felt like this is where we wanted to stay forever. And so, yeah, like Travis was saying, we followed a bunch of people that, full time. I don't even know how we found them. I think we were just watching YouTube one day, and they may have came up. I don't remember.
Yeah. And honestly, we kind of did what just about every full-time RVer does. We wait until the stars align, and at least that's what we hope, and that's what we think. And, we tried to do that, and we didn't. Actually, we were just like, let's sell the house, let's go, let's just do this, and if we don't do it, we'll never do it. So and the other half of that is I lost my mom when she was really young, and she talked about traveling all the time, and going places when she retired, and she wanted to go here, go to Tennessee, she wanted to go to Texas, she wanted to go to California, all these places. And and she never got a chance to do it. I mean, she didn't even make it to retirement, and she passed away at 59. And, and that was a lot of our boost too. That was kind of our kick in the pants, and we had talked about it for a few years, and we were like, let's just do it. If we don't do it now, we're not getting any younger, and not that I'm like bagging on older people. Sorry if any of your audience is older, but I don't want to wait until I'm old and I can't do things, and I can't, move around, or I can't, function. And
or we have to move slower, because a lot of them they'll snowbird. So they'll stay in one place for 6 months and another place for 6 months. And we're just, that's not our season right now. We would like to, travel around and do things and be more mobile. Yeah. So we knew if we didn't do it now, we may not get a chance to, because we don't know, you don't know what happens tomorrow. Right.
Yeah. So here we are 3 years later, and still doing it. Yeah.
That's crazy. So where all have you guys been then?
Oh my gosh.
From California, right?
Yeah, why don't we just do where we haven't been? That's much shorter.
No, we sold our house in Indiana.
Yeah, in Indiana.
That's where we really launched.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time in California because Travis's son had a health thing, so we spent a lot of time there. But we launched from Indiana.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
so where haven't you been then?
I know. States.
Canada? No, just kidding.
Yeah. Which I would love to go to, by the way.
Yeah, we would love to. I would say mostly central north states. We haven't been to a whole lot
in
through
the
there.
RV.
Yeah, like Montana,
right.
I don't know what the other states are.
I mean, we took our boys when we were younger. We just haven't been there when we were full-time.
Yeah.
We went there and maybe spent like a week, but I would like to go there and spend a lot more time and explore things. And
I mean, we've been all over the country. I mean, I don't know, 38 states, almost 40 states.
Yeah, our first year we went way too fast. I mean, if I could go back and do it again, I would have slowed down a lot.
Yes.
And explored and like really got to know the areas, and we just kind of like flew through them. We're like, oh, we went there. And it's like,
we did get overly excited, and I think that was kind of like a newbie thing, like a noob, and like you want to do everything in 1 year, and and it was sort of a mistake, but kind of a blessing at the same time. We learned how not to be versus how we thought we should be. So, and it was tough. I mean, the first, 6 months to a year is tough for anybody that goes full time. I tell everybody that, and they're like, how'd you do it? I'm like, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter how you do it, doesn't matter where you initiate it or anything. Your first 6 months to a year are just the most difficult time. It's very, very hard. It's not easy. You're learning a lot of different things. You're making 1,000 times more decisions daily than you normally do. So it's tough. It's very, very hard.
Out of all the places that you did go, do you have a top favorite?
We always get asked this.
Mine is Maine. I absolutely adore Maine. I love how like slow it is, and it's not like super jam-packed of people. I mean, it gets busy in the summer, but it's not like Yellowstone or places that are just like there's tons of people. And I just love nature. It's just beautiful.
I'd say for me, Rhode Island. No, I'm just kidding. I'd say Wyoming. I love the Grand Tetons.
Oh my gosh.
Epic. It's beautiful. Like,
it just looks like you're looking at a painting.
Yes.
Like it's just a painting in the sky.
Yeah. It's
God's painting. It's his creation, but it's just beautiful.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I love Maine too. That's probably my second favorite. We've been up there so many times. We just love that whole area. Now I wouldn't be there in the winter, but it's awesome in summer. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's really.
I fully understand.
Yeah. And it's hard too because we've been to so many cool places, and and when you're traveling, sometimes you'll come across these little gems, and you're like, whoa, this is a cool little town. Like, I could totally live here. Like, you're always in like this. Wow, I could settle down here. It's so cool, and it's the most odd place, and you wouldn't have ever expected it. And then you're like, well, there's probably a million of these around the country, so let's go find another one.
Yeah.
So. What happens, we're like, oh, this is cool. Yeah. I'm like, they have a really cool ice cream shop here, and, I mean, it just, and that's kind of why we do it too, is to, seeing the locals and people, and we've made so many friends. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because I don't know if you can tell, but Travis does not know a stranger. So everywhere we go, he just meets new people.
I mean, we've known each other a little while, Kate. You know this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's handy. It's handy because you make so many awesome connections, and no matter where you are, you stay connected.
Yeah.
In the same way as though you were side by side, which is so cool.
And then sometimes you can be side by side. That's the cool part, is that you can literally be side by side, and then you can not see each other for like 2 months and then come back together again. And like, you didn't even leave, do your hugs and go right back to, being friends like we were like a few months ago. So.
I've never experienced anything like this, like the community that is the RV community ever in my life. Yeah. I've created more lifelong friends than I ever have.
Truly. Yes, I agree.
And you can still go, like you said, months without talking even. Yeah. And then you just pick up the phone or a text, or you reply to a message or something, and it's literally where you left off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so cool.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It is.
I think it's cool because like we all have that commonality, together. Like, we know what to expect. It's not like people that are in like sticks and bricks where they live in the same home, and they do the same thing. Like, we know as RVers that things are going to change. Things, happen, or things are different, and so like you said, you could just pick it up the phone and just begin where you left off.
Yeah, it's true. You won't find friendships like this in a regular home, like just in a regular neighborhood.
No.
Yeah, your kids might grow up together, go to school together, and you might grow old together and stuff, but it's just not the same. It's hard to describe. It's kind of like that void of humanity that people seek out community and relationships, and it's awesome.
I mean, when we were in Florida this past time, and the hurricane was coming through, and we were getting ready to go to the Airbnb, with you guys, and I was going to the grocery store, and I was just thinking to myself, like, I jumped in the grocery store with Lindsay and our other friend Michelle not the RV, but their truck, and I was just thinking to myself, I've told the girls, I'm like, I would have never gotten a truck with my neighbors when I was in my sticks and bricks and all went to the grocery store together. Like, that's just not something.
It's hilarious.
And here we are, all grocery shopping together in Publix.
Yeah.
Right?
For the hurricane.
It's so different, and the trust level is so different. I talk about this so many times that with Lindsay and Stuart, that, you know, within days of meeting in person, I was babysitting their kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Both them and Nate and Marissa, that like, and we had never met until that point. We'd been talking online and whatnot for a couple of months, but we met and they're like, hey, do you mind watching my kids? And I bring that up so many times because that's a huge trust level.
Yeah.
Leave your kids with someone whose house is on wheels, right?
Yeah.
But you instantly know the other person and the level of trust that you have with them. You gain that trust so quick versus in a house. I don't know. There's something about being in suburbia, the city, whatever you live in, that trust level isn't gained as quickly and as strong as it is in this community.
Yeah. It's very true.
Yeah, I mean, it gives a new definition to neighbor. You
Yeah.
know, like neighbor that we've known it for years, and just the, you know, the American and the Canadian dream is like have the neighbor and own your own home. You know, that's gone. Like that's just not even a thing anymore. I mean, the new American dream and the new neighbor is community and trust and building relationships and growing, you know, growing with people, going through tough times, going through the best times, and you know, and supporting each other. And that, you know, you won't get that from your neighbor that just goes to work for 8 hours a day, comes in, puts their garage down, and you don't see them again until they leave the next day. It just doesn't happen.
Living this life definitely gets you out of your comforts for sure. Because I was definitely that neighbor. I was like, go to work, come home. I don't socialize with anyone, you know, and doing this and being married to him too has definitely got me out of my shell and made me be more extrovert.
Mike was the introvert at home. He kept to himself. Yes, he kept to himself. He didn't go out. He only hung out with like his one friend. He didn't socialize. Where I was the one like, let's go do things. Let's go hang out with these people. Whereas now it's like, it's extrovert city here, and it's like I shut down. I'm like, no way. It's a lot. Whereas he's cool meeting all the new people. How did you guys know that this was the right path to doing full-time RV life?
I think we knew, again, I mean, the first like 6 months to a year was challenging, and we didn't know if we were going to keep doing it. I mean, and we honestly didn't. It wasn't, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are like, I'm going to give it a year. I'm going to see what I can do in a year, where it goes with us, and how I can handle it, how we can handle it, you know, in our marriage and work-life balance, and, you know, financially, if we can do this. And I don't think we figured it out until after that year was over, that we wanted to continue to do this. And
I mean, we wanted to quit.
Yeah.
Probably every single day that first year.
Especially me. I take a blame of the blame. I really did. There was a few times where I'm like, man, it's overwhelming, because I had, you know, I mean, I had a full-time job as an executive, and, you know, I had a lot of responsibility, and there were certain things where I could, you know, we had travel days and I had to work, you know, and it was just,
we had to figure that out.
We had to really figure it out. And
but after we hit that 1 year mark, I would say we just kind of came to this realization of like, this is really awesome. And the community that we've built and the friends that we've met and the togetherness that we have built together, you know, it's unmatched. And we haven't seen an end to it yet.
Yeah. I mean, we're closer than we ever have been. I mean, even though we do everything together, you know, because we're married and we're best friends and we do literally everything together, you know, so that was never an issue. And I know we get that asked that a lot. You know,
how do you spend so much time together all the time?
You work together, you live together, you travel together, you're always together. Well, she's my best friend. Like, this is my wife. Like, do we always get along? No. Are we, you know, do we get along probably 90% of the time? Yeah, we do. And we
probably like 80.
Okay, 89%. I'm horrible at math. She's the mathematician. But, you know, yeah, I mean, I would say after a year, we were like, okay, let's keep doing this. Now, we don't put like an end cap on anything. Like, we'll do it a couple more years, or we're just kind of going with it. And at this point, we've been to just about every major thing we've ever want to see. So everything now is sort of extracurricular. And, you know, and we're okay with staying someplace like Florida for the summer, or, you know, or just going someplace for like a month, you know, and just kind of staying. And, you know, instead of like week here, 2 weeks here, week here, 3 weeks there, you know, and just going all over the place crazy. You know, we're more methodical and meticulous in our planning. You know, and that's.
And we're also going to do some international traveling this summer too, which we've never done.
So we're going to Europe in June. So we're going to do more of that. I think we're probably going to do that once or twice a year for the next probably 3 years. Again, because we're not getting any younger. So if I wait until I retire, and Jess is much younger than me, she's about 80 years younger than me. So you can see the pretty face. But you know, I just, and she can attest too, like, I don't want to wait until I'm older to do this stuff. Like, when I'm older, I want to sit at the beach and smoke a cigar and have a drink. You know, that's my relaxation. I've experienced everything I want to, you know, so, and she's the same way. We're just going to keep going.
And then even with the international travel, you don't know if or when something could shut down again. Being that we've gone through that already, it could shut down again. So if you wait, you may have lost your chance. So,
exactly.
You're right. When I was planning the whole Europe trip, we were, you know, the most expensive part is flying over there. And then once you get there, the travel within Europe is super cheap. It's like, you know, $40 for two of us to go from London to Dublin, you know. But when I was doing all of our planning, we really wanted to go see like the Berlin Wall, and we can't travel to Germany.
Can't go to Germany.
We cannot go to Germany, and it sucks. So yeah, you're right. I mean, we got to take the chances when we can, you know, because we don't know. When it we can't anymore.
It's true.
It's just another solidifying factor of do not wait. If you can, go.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you know, and we're gonna, I don't want to say squeeze this trip in because it's sort of last minute.
For sure.
Like, well, it's her birthday too in June, and I've been promising her for years to take her to England. And, you know, so we're just, I don't know, we're just going to do it. And then we probably won't go anywhere again this year. And then we'll plan another one next year and maybe go to Australia or Africa or Thailand. Or
maybe Africa, for sure.
Yeah, Africa. you would go to
I'll
Africa.
go to Australia. They got the creepy spiders.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I don't want to go to Australia.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to go. Yeah, maybe
I'll
not
go to
Australia.
Africa.
I mean, I would do like Sydney, but I wouldn't do like the outback. I don't want to get kicked by a kangaroo. Like, I'm scared.
Have you seen those really buff ones? They're
their arms are like, whoo.
Yeah, like, do they lift weights? They must have a subscription to Planet Fitness or something. What's going on here?
Planet Fitness, yeah. Oh my goodness. Now, you guys touched a little bit on concerns and fears that you had at the start, like within that first year to 6 months. What were some of them, and how did you get over and through them?
So for me, it was like I had mentioned also that we moved way too fast. You know, I was like, I need to see everything right now this year. We have to squeeze everything into this little tiny summer. And it was very challenging for him because he didn't want to move that fast. And he, you know, he had his full-time job, or we both worked full-time, but his position was a lot more demanding than mine was. So, you know, there was a lot of arguments. There was a lot of discussions about, like, you know, fights, you know, just like we had different expectations of what we wanted to do. So that was a lot of growth and a lot of working through those things that we had to, you know, a lot of talking and fighting, trying to work through that. So it was definitely difficult. And then also, you know, just because we've never paid a payment on an RV. So, you know, the first one that we went full time in was a 2007. You know, it was a fifth wheel. So it had its, you know, issues. It was, we love it. We still have it. But, you know, it had its issues. And so Travis, you know, he was constantly working on things and trying to work his job and moving. And it was just a lot of different moving parts, all of the decisions that he had to make or we had to make.
Again, I tell people this all the time when they're asking me about full-time, because seriously, we have so many people like ask us questions like, how'd you guys get started? Especially friends and family and people we've known over the years that are still in sticks and bricks, and and just the amount of decisions you make every day. Like, I cannot stress this enough. Like, when you're in a house, you open your garage door, the thing's automatic. You literally click a button, you drive in, you go sit down. The only responsibility you have is to cook something. You're not thinking about dumping your black water tank, your gray water tank, whether or not your power is going to flicker if you turn both air conditioners on.
Do you have enough gas to make dinner?
Yes. Is your awning going to fly off from the wind gusts? Is there air in your tires? So you're making like 15 extra decisions a day, and it can be very overwhelming if you have a job where you're already making 1,000 decisions a day for people's livelihood and to keep their job or to keep your job, so it was a lot. And that's mostly what we fought about. I mean, if we can be fully transparent, I mean, we argued and fought about that a lot, and I was just like, oh, it's so frustrating because, Jess is not going to get out there and do the black tank or the gray tank or.
I mean, I would if I had to.
Yeah, she had to. I'm not saying she doesn't know how. I taught her how to do everything. She knows how to do everything.
I just don't like to.
For the record, she knows how to do everything. Make sure everybody knows. But it's just, it would get overwhelming, and it would, those overwhelmingness decisions and everything that drives you every day to keep this lifestyle up would seep into your relationship and seep into your everyday conversations. And it would go from, she would say, how was work today, to the freaking black tank stuck, or like, you know what I mean? Like, it would be something that was just not an everyday thing, like a person that has a house, they don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. And they don't have to worry about where their water is coming from or if it's filtered or if they can drink it.
So it was a lot of communication and working through those things for sure.
I mean, you're thinking differently about laundry. You're thinking differently about whether you drink bottled water or you get a big thing of water,
or a burpee, or
a burpee, or
it's different.
Like and I want to get in shape. Like, can I work out? Can I carry this weight? Is this, can I have weights with me and be able to lift weights? And it's just so many things that you have to think about because your lifestyle is completely flipped around.
Yeah.
So, and that's, people think it's glamorous and you're like, oh, I get to see this and I get to see that, and we haven't even touched on money, like the cost of things, and the rising prices of gas and insurance costs. And if you have payments, and thankfully we've been blessed enough to never finance an RV. We've had probably 7 or 8 RVs and we paid for them all. Like, we've never I don't even know what that's like to finance one. Thank God, because we've flipped them and moved up and flipped another one and moved up. People do that with cars. They do that with homes, and we're fortunate enough to do that. So
it's true. And the money factor is a huge one. I know I had written an article about it a while ago, just stating the differences between stationary and moving, and the differences between moving and home, like a sticks and bricks. And it is so variable that it can be more expensive to travel full time than to be in a sticks and bricks.
100%.
Right? Because if you have a payment on the RV and the truck, that can be more than your mortgage, depending on when you purchased, right? And then how often you travel, the gas can be more. And so many assume that it's going to be a so much cheaper way of living when it's not necessarily. It can be, it has the potential to be if you do it right. I know for us, it's been peanuts for the last year, but we're not traveling. We're pretty much stationary, right? Yeah. And we don't owe payments on anything, and we're not paying for campsites. So that makes a big difference. And we're not traveling far, so our gas isn't very high. Yeah. But if we did change any of that, you have to factor that in as added costs. So many look at the glamour side of it and assume that it's so cheap because they see people traveling all over the place, but they don't understand the income that's behind it to fuel that kind of travel.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, and not to mention, our refrigerators are smaller in these. So, in your sticks and bricks, you can,
stock
up like weeks worth of food in your freezer and your refrigerator, but you can't, and especially if you're traveling, you don't know, the different regions that you're in. Groceries could be more expensive. You don't know where things are at in the grocery store, so, and for us, we go to the grocery store maybe once or twice a week sometimes because we can't fit that much food into our refrigerator. I cook a lot, I make 90% of our meals. So, when we're in new places, we like to, explore and do things on the weekends. But for the most part, I cook. So that's another factor, if you have a family, it's just Travis and I, but if we had, 2 or 3 kids, like that would get really expensive, moving around different places of the country and paying different prices for groceries.
Yeah.
Like,
it's insane.
Now, was there anywhere along this journey that you guys hit and you were just like, wow, this is the moment. This has changed us forever.
Oh my gosh. There's so many places like that, Kate.
I would say, honestly, Mexico.
I was going to say Mexico.
Really?
Yes. Okay. So when you travel around the country, and I know you and Mike have been around the country too and seen a lot of things, before staying in Florida for a little bit. And, so that question, you probably answered your own question multiple times. And I will tell you, Mexico, like, takes the cake. Like, we've never experienced anything like that. I've never drove through the craziest roads and seriously met some of the sweetest, nicest people like ever. And it's the complete flip of what the United States government tells you Mexico's like. And, yes. And you go down there and you're kind of like on this,
high alert.
Yeah, high alert. And like, I'm going to be really careful, there's cartel and, all these things could happen and not one issue in a month and a half.
In Baja, Mexico.
Baja.
Not mainland Mexico.
Yeah, Baja, Mexico. Yeah, we didn't go in the mainland. So, but yeah, I would say Mexico. I would say we went all the way down to La Paz, and we found a town, what was it, about 4 hours north of there?
About 6.
Yeah, maybe 5 or 6 hours north of there, called Laredo. We went there twice. We loved it so much. It was amazing. It was just the most quaint little town that you would picture any American to see Mexico like. That if you want to go there, like that's where you want to go. And we spent probably a total of 2.5 weeks there, almost 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think like your question, like I think that was our aha moment that we could we could really do this. We really brought our home, everything that we owned, we brought it to Mexico. Now, would we do it again in this big RV? No.
Another podcast.
Yes.
A 40-foot fifth wheel.
No.
Into Mexico.
No way. But we did it.
We did it.
We came out unscathed and everything. I mean, it was an amazing experience, Of course there were struggles. Of course we had indifferences, but it wasn't anything that wasn't worked through. And, I would do it again a million times in a different rig.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and we got asked a lot when we were down there too. You drove this down here?
Yeah, I mean, thank God Travis is an amazing driver because woo-wee.
Yeah, a lot of white knuckle.
Oh, like no shoulder, barely. I mean, you're barely at 8 feet wide in each lane, barely, and you got semis from both sides.
It's wild.
Yeah,
I would not enjoy that, even pulling this thing.
No.
Yeah, but I will tell you. Probably what did it for me, and Laredo was nice. What did it for me, there was a section that was between San Ignacio, this place, it's like in the center of the country, or center of the Baja Peninsula, to Laredo. There is a stretch of road. It's probably about 15 miles long, and you feel like you're on another planet.
Oh yeah.
Like I can't. It's so indescribable, and we're trying to do some picture collage to throw it on our social media page and try to get some. We have some drone video and stuff that we're trying to pull from Nathan and Marissa and Lindsay and Stuart. But I can't even describe it, Kate. It's like I've never seen so many cacti, like versions of cacti. There was trees there I've never seen in my life. amazing. I don't even know how to describe it.
I think what made it so beautiful is that it just was untouched.
Yes.
It's not like, in America where, it's something becomes a national park and it just kind of gets trampled all over. I know some people, they try to take nature in consideration, but especially in Baja, everything is just so untouched and it's just so beautiful.
Yeah. It was insane. And we're driving through it and it's like rolling hills and mountains, and I just have never seen anything like, and we've been all over the country. We've been through areas that were similar to that, like Arizona and Utah, southern Utah, and, and some of California, where you're like, wow, this is epic, until you go through that one little stretch and it was so crazy. Like all of it, we had radios and there was 4 families. We all had radios and we couldn't all not stay off the radio. We were like, look at that. Look, it was just, you felt like you were on a completely different planet.
Yeah.
And I've never drove through anything like that. And here I am pulling my home through this. And
yeah. I think Lindsay and Stuart and Nathan and Marissa, they got some pretty awesome shots. We have pictures, but
we have pictures.
Yeah.
They have all the technology. We just kind of roll with it. Yeah. But yeah, it was, just things like that you'll never do unless you get out and do it,
just do it. Mm-hmm.
And trust me, and this is a whole nother conversation too. I didn't want to go at first. I didn't want to go to Mexico at first. I was, because I went by what people said about it. Oh, it's, bad here, bad there, and all this stuff. And, and I was like, you know what? I've been deployed. I've been to Iraq. I've been to Afghanistan. How bad could it be? Come on, seriously. It's not like, it's not the shootout.
And it's also not like the government tells us the truth anyway. So
right.
We're not
also a whole other podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah. You just got to make your informed decision on your own. And you're just like,
Yeah.
I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, I'm glad we did it. But we will definitely do it again. We don't know when, but it'll definitely be in a smaller RV, like either a camper RV or a small pull behind.
Or our old
or maybe our old fifth wheel.
Because we still have it, our 2007.
Yeah. It's smaller. It's easier to maneuver and manipulate. And because there were some places we stayed where, whew,
yeah,
man,
we could have got a better place if we weren't in a 40-foot. We could have got a better parking space.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it was cool. It was a great experience.
I would do it again.
Yes.
Sure. Now, way back when you guys brought up how this has impacted your marriage, what would you say as a whole this has done for you guys?
Honestly, I think it's improved a lot.
Yeah.
Because, when you are in like I don't want to say mundane lifestyle, working and coming home and things like that, you just kind of get used to these routines and you kind of lose sight of, who you guys really are, and you kind of stop communicating. Like for us, we've always been really close, but our communication always hasn't been the greatest,
Yeah.
I want to talk out my feelings, and I don't know if it's just because I'm a woman or whatever, and Travis is more of I'll just bottle it up and deal with it, and it has a lot to do with his, military experience and just tough it out and get through things, but you can't do that in a 300 square foot home. You're in front of each other all the time. And so it's kind of forced us to break out of that cycle and communicate more. And
yeah, I think it's definitely brought us closer.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're experiencing even just the little things. And I know this sounds really quirky, but just going to the bathroom, it's like, it's so different because, you're inside there and you're trying to be private and a house, like, like the door, lock it. Let's put the bar across. Let's turn on everything.
And go on the other side of the house to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, but here now it's like, whatever, dude, do your thing. You gotta go.
You just have to get more comfortable with each other, and also getting out of your comfort zone. It's forced us to do that too. And
also it's like, because we are together all the time, and also we work together, like, we worked at the same company during that time, and now we have our own business and we still work together and still do it. And when you're doing that, it's really important to kind of separate the work to our, relationship together, our love life, our, our friendship, our, all has to be, I don't want to say meticulously planned because you should be spontaneous, but it needs to be, I don't know, you got to have more of awareness of what our needs are and what our wants are. And, it's not just all work all the time. It's not just, us constantly going out all the time and trying to have, a romantic dinner and stuff. There's always the little things, and you got to make time for yourself, and there's times where, I'll just step outside and I'll just sit outside and play on my phone or smoke a cigar or, just relax a little bit away from Jess. Not that I'm trying to get away from her, but, to have some time.
You've got to have your alone time sometimes,
And she'll come in here. Yeah. And she'll do the same thing. And she'll bake something or get, start doing some crazy.
That's my relaxing time is baking.
Seriously, it really is. Like, I know that I'll just leave her alone and I'll play on my phone, just, let her do her thing. And then I reap the rewards, though. I get to eat it. Yep.
You go ahead and have your alone time, honey.
Yeah, right.
You can have alone time as much as you want, honey.
That's right. Oh, goodness. This whole journey can have lots of ups and downs. Let's touch on a few, but what was your lowest low on this journey? And then we'll follow up with your highest high.
The lowest low, I think, was going back to that first year. And I mean, I think we were maybe about 4 months into it. And I don't remember exactly where we were traveling at, but I want to say it was in North Carolina or South Carolina. And we were at a point where, and I'm speaking for myself here, where it got so overwhelming with what we were doing. I just felt like it wasn't worth it, and we were, and again, kind of rotating back to that balance. When you don't have that balance and that communication and that, things will get flubbed up and they'll, and it'll start to suck a lot. And we were kind of getting to that, where I was struggling with things that we had to do. And it was like things I didn't want to do. It wasn't so much that, I know I have to do certain things, and I'm sure maybe Jess is different, but it was like, I didn't want to do those. I don't want to do this, why do I have to do this every single time that we pull up someplace, and and that was really hard. It was really that always made me want to stop and be like, man, can't I just walk into my backyard and jump in my pool? Why do I have to do this stuff? And
I think for me, it's twofold. It was a down and it was an up. We were in Florida last winter, I think, or the winter before, and we found out Travis's son in California, or our son, but my stepson, he had cancer, and we needed to be in California, and it was really, really, really tough for us, and tough for him and tough for the whole family. And then just knowing that we were able to pick up our entire lives and go be with him for months, for as long as he needed, was a huge high for us, because if we had a home, if we were still living in the home that we had in, Indiana, we wouldn't have been able to do that. We would have been able to fly, maybe fly out for a couple of weeks, but that gets expensive. Just being able to know that we could pick up our home and go be with whoever needed us in that moment, and it just happened to be Joshua at the time. Was a low and a high. For me.
And we've had quite a few of those highs. We've had a lot more highs than lows, to be honest with you. And we've done that a few times where somebody's reached out to us. And I mean, our friends Paul and Cinnamon we're here with. We came out here last September. They needed help in their backyard. And, he needed to run heavy equipment, and I know how to do it. So we came here for 3 weeks? 3 weeks before we saw you guys last September. And, and things like that, Nathan and Marissa, Lindsay and Stuart, we went all the way to Arizona and drove all the way into northern Arizona to watch their kids so that they can hike through the wave.
Yeah.
That's a high for us. You can't do this with your neighbors and the sticks and bricks. You can't, You know, so we've had a lot more highs, definitely. You know, that was only one low, but there's very few of them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, you know, when you have like a high point and all these high points, you're always like, man, I can't wait for the next high point. You're never ever like, oh, this low point sucks. Like, I can't wait to the next low point. Nobody ever says that.
Yeah.
You know, they're just like, well, if I focus more, and I think we've kind of come around to that, where we focus more on the good stuff and the high points and the great things and the memories and the things that we're doing, the experiences, the low points don't really matter.
Yeah, and that's the growth in Travis, because he never was an optimist. I was always the optimist in our relationship.
Optimistic.
I mean, he's a realist. Like,
yeah, I'm a realist.
He looks at the, you know, and
The facts.
I'm more of like, this is a bad situation, but how can I make it better, or how can I improve it? And he's just kind of he used to be like, this is a bad situation, let's just, you know,
skip it.
Yeah, or
let's not do this.
Yeah, and so that's the growth that I'm talking about. He would have never been that way 3 years ago.
You know, you try to avoid the conflict and the struggles and the tough stuff. And I mean, everybody does that, but
yeah,
you know, but you wouldn't expect it, because you're like, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be an awesome lifestyle. And, you know, and you're all excited, and you wouldn't expect these like challenging, you know, hardships. And I think we definitely have 1,000 highs compared to that one. And that supersedes it. Sometimes that'll nix it out, and you're just like, whatever, you know. I mean, I'm like that now.
Yeah, it needs to be.
Yeah, 2.5 years ago, I'd have been like, you know. And plus, you know, seeing a lot of our friends live this way, and knowing they're going through the same ordeals. You know, like you and Mike go through the same things. I'm sure you went through the same things when you guys were traveling the country. You know, and you know, and it's the same with everybody we meet. I mean, even Paul and Cinnamon, when they first started, you know, it's the same thing, and we all talk about it. So we share this commonality, you know, and I think that's also kind of what draws us into continuing to do it, you know, and live this lifestyle. And it truly is a lifestyle. It's, you know, it's not a fad. It's not, you know, I mean, there's people that have been doing it. We've met people that have been doing this like 20 something years. And I'm like, what?
Oh yeah. That one couple in Batesville.
Yeah. Howard and Fran, we met them in
They're
Indiana.
Probably in their 70s.
And they've been doing this. They have 2 RVs, and they were just happened to have their pull behind. And I'm like, oh, super nice guy, you know. And I was like, how long have you guys been doing this? He's like, 27 years. I'm like, what?
No,
and you guys haven't killed each other?
No.
Like, what? Like, and they love it, and they, you know, and yeah, it was crazy. And we've met other couples. We met a couple in the Class A who's retired. They've been doing it almost 30 years, you know, and it was like, this was a thing when I was 20 years old. Like, I didn't even know this was a thing back then. It's wild to hear. Like, I'm just like, and here I'm over here like 3 years thinking I'm a veteran, you know?
Yeah.
Man, I'm experienced, man. I got this down. You know? You meet somebody that's like 27 years doing this, you're like, man, I got a long ways to go, dude.
Yeah. Wow. So then what does the future look like for you guys?
It looks bright.
we don't really know. We kind of play it by ear. We talk sometimes about settling down, where that would be.
Yeah.
And
well, not settling down like, I mean, settling down like slowing down, not really like buying a house or anything like that. I don't know if we're going to do that.
Becoming snowbirds is pretty much what he's trying to say.
Yeah, sort of. Like staying someplace for like a full winter and not moving, and then traveling all summer. You know, I think that's kind of what we're starting to get to. Yeah. Probably more into next year. You know, and I think and a lot of it has to do with our business. So, you know, we've recently started our own business, and you know, I already have people working for me. It's just a lot, you know, we're just trying to get that going and trying to focus a little bit on that. And, you know, so it's pretty cool. And then we have other ventures that we're trying to do around that. And, you know, and just, that's a whole nother podcast, but, you know, multiple streams of income and, you know, getting different things. And, you know, we're just trying to get that going. And, because, you know, I'm going to be 51 this year, and I'm not getting any younger. I'm getting close to retiring, and I just don't, you know, I want us to be in a position where we can still live this lifestyle we want, and we can still travel anywhere we want at any time, you know. You know, that's, of course, that's the true freedom, and, you know, being able to be financially set and still be able to do this, lifestyle. So I think that's where we're heading.
Nice. Now, the whole purpose of this podcast is that somebody out there might be listening and hear your story and it resonates with them. What piece of advice would you give to them to get out there and do this?
My biggest piece of advice, don't hesitate. Don't wait for the right moment. Don't wait for the stars to align. Don't wait for your friends and family approval. Just do it. If you feel like you need to do it, then just do it. Absolutely. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. It doesn't matter where it takes you. It's better than where you are. So just do it.
And it doesn't matter like what that looks like for you. It doesn't have to necessarily be traveling. It doesn't have to be stationary. Yeah. Whatever this lifestyle looks like for you, just
do it.
Do it, or start the process to do it. Yeah. Don't wait.
Yeah, don't wait. Definitely don't hesitate. That's probably the number one advice I give everybody. And and we've said that so many times to friends. I had an example. I had a guy that I was in the military with, and he just recently retired, and he was asking me a million questions, and he was like, I'm not sure what I want. I'm like, dude, just do it. And the guy just ended up buying a Class A and hit the road. And I say that out of experience because we hesitated for years.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, our neighbors would be like, why is your RV on the side of your house again? We're like, we're renovating it. And then we renovate it, and then we're like, we're going to do it. Let's go. Let's sell the house. Let's go. Let's just do it. And then something else will put it off. Oh, well, we got a car and a truck.
Yeah, cold feet.
All these excuses. Mm-hmm. Well, when are we going to see Uncle Tim again? Or when are we going to see, Auntie Jane again? Or, and it's like, don't worry about all that. It'll come around. It'll happen. Yep. Just do it. Do what you want to do.
Yep.
And even if you don't know what that do looks like. So it doesn't matter because everybody's, adventure is different, mm-hmm. and you see people that glamorize it in some of these YouTube videos and, and all this stuff. And you're like, I can't do that. I can't be like that. They're not like that. They're just making a video for you to show you, I mean, don't worry about that.
This much of their day.
Exactly.
Of one day of an entire week, right? That's all you're seeing is this much of one day.
100%. Of an entire week. Yes, exactly. So don't base your decision on
your
that.
Expectations.
Or your expectations. Yes. Set the expectations that you're comfortable with, and go with it. If you can only afford a 20-foot pull behind travel trailer, make it work. Do it. Just do it. If you can afford, a $250,000, Class A and you want to pull your Jeep behind it, do it. Like, don't wait. Don't hesitate. Just because if you keep hesitating, you'll never do it. That's the biggest problem is people just don't, they're so used to the comfortableness of everyday lifestyle, when really all you're doing is just a rat trapped in a cage. And I mean, I know it sounds awful, but you really are. You're literally just chasing, the next piece of cheese in a cage. And, and you're not experiencing life. You just got to do it.
Don't wait for the stars to align.
Yeah, 100%. We've been there. We did that. And for years, and, we just, I don't know. It's just something inside of us just clicked and we were like, let's just do it.
Well, for us, I researched this for years. Like, I want to say it was at least 6 years. It was probably when, like, Keep Your Daydream and Nate and Marissa started. Like, around that time, I started watching their videos and a couple of others. And okay, well, these guys have kids our age and these guys have kids our age because, age gap life. So let's see how they travel. And they travel very different. And, let's check out how things work and how things function. And will this work for us? Right? All these different things. So I just kept putting it off because I'm like, our age gap is really big. Oh, we need the consistent income. Oh, we need, whatever. We kept putting it off. Well, then the world broke and we're like, all right, let's go for it.
And a lot of people that happened to almost the same scenario that you guys went through. Yeah.
Because again, I didn't want to be stuck in a home. I mean, because you couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. They were telling you to stay inside. And
this is what's really crazy. And now that I just remember this, when all that stuff happened with COVID and things were going on, I remember still getting ready for us to leave, and we were Zooming with our friends. I'm like, how sad is this that we're literally that we can't. the government is telling us don't come over, don't go to people's houses and stuff. And we're like zoom in with our friends, and it was like, I'm not doing this. This is stupid.
Yeah. It was
That's how we say goodbye to family.
Yeah. Oh,
family.
Yeah. Family.
Yeah.
Some of them didn't even want to say goodbye and didn't want to FaceTime because, that's just not what we want to do. I'm like, this is wild. Again, this is why we shouldn't have held back based on those relationships, because they weren't strong enough to begin with.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. 100%. Yep. Mm-hmm. And, and honestly, we've been doing this for so long now, everybody's kind of used to us. Yeah. So, and I know we're going back to another subject, but another high, now just think of it, is being able to see a lot of our family and friends that we haven't seen in a long time. We can go to different places where we have family in other states, that we couldn't do that kind of stuff before. So now it's different. We're actually going to be able to hug your neck.
Yeah, it's a game changer. It's a game changer doing this.
It is.
So now if anybody's looking for you, where can they find you?
So we have our Instagram. It's navigate_freedom. And then we have a Facebook, but we don't really do a lot with it. And we also have a TikTok. It's the same handle on both Instagram and TikTok. But we don't really do anything on there either.
Yeah.
I had one video that went viral. It was a cooking video of all things.
Which was so funny. That was definitely a COVID video, right? Where people are like, I just want to watch all the things about cooking.
Yeah, it's like 1.5 million views on it. Yeah. It was like, the next morning it did like 14,000 followers. We're like, what in the world?
Ever since then, I haven't done anything.
Yeah, we haven't really done. I mean,
we post sometimes. I've been trying here recently, but mainly Instagram. Yeah,
mainly Instagram. We've since started our own business. I've been recruiting for tons of years. I've done several, built departments and things like that. So I just kind of took a leap of faith and started our own company and our own recruiting firm. It's called Bronze Star Consultant. We have a website. It's bronzestarconsultant.com. And then we're on LinkedIn. We hire mostly right now finance and mortgage companies. We're about a month and maybe about 5 weeks into it. And we're doing actually really well.
He should have done this a long time ago.
I should have.
He's had tons of people tell him this. But, you just kind of get in that, which we're grateful for because it's what gave us the ability to be able to go full time, the salary. But you get used to having that salary and it's hard to just give it up to be able to start, something new. But just like going into RV life, we just had to try. We had to take a leap of faith and give it a try. And he's been doing amazing.
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome. We're branching out into different industries. And,
he's like, wouldn't that be really cool if I could hire for the RV industry?
Yeah, the RV industry.
The factories. And I was like, that would be super cool.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's been pretty awesome. We're pretty excited about it and what the future holds.
Nice. Well, I'm going to add all of that, your website and your socials, to the show notes. So if anybody wants to find you and connect with you, or if they're looking to hire, they can reach out to you. And I appreciate this conversation so much, guys. This has been amazing. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. We love being on. We can't wait to see you guys.
We miss you guys.
Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying these stories, please leave us a review as it helps our podcast reach more listeners. For more information about this podcast, with show notes, links, and more, please go to our website, moresunsetsplease.com. While you're there, let's get connected. We post often on our Instagram and Facebook and share weekly updates through email. Make sure you join the list. But we want to hear from you. If you know of someone with a great story, send an email to info@moresunsetsplease.com and I'll be sure to get back to you. Until next time, keep taking time to enjoy more sunsets, please.